And they're off.
Off to the races.
Except for this guy. He likes to just chill with us.
He does. There he goes.
Oh,
there
now he's off. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How was your trip?
Long?
Yeah?
Yeah, it was. I'm still exhausted from it, but
I know. It's a late morning for us.
yeah.
I let you sleep in.
I'm trying to get off of West Coast time. So yeah, it's a good trip. It was a long trip. It was lots of traffic that I don't miss. And it was like 92 degrees. It was very warm there. So when I came back and it was 70 here and gorgeous, I was very happy to be home.
You were actually a little chilly last night.
I was like, whoa!
It got down to like 32 degrees last night.
Yeah, it was a little...
Or this morning, rather.
A little chillier than I anticipated, but...
We're gonna have to go... Which way do you want to go?
We can cut straight through.
Cut through? All right, so we're walking back towards the gray barn. We're gonna take a different path to the creek today.
This is our other path that we like to take. We haven't taken it in a while.
Hold on, I'm gonna lift up my boots so that way we don't know what's back there. We haven't been back this way for a while.
I still come back this way, but...
Oh my goodness.
I know you don't as
I'm
much.
struggling.
Yeah, you are.
I'm struggling with my balance. Sorry, guys.
Here, hon. let me assist you.
I was trying to do it with one hand. I'm
One hand and one foot.
jumping back and forth. The camera's going all which way. So the tree finally came down. It finally just slowly worked its way down.
Yep.
So I'll have a neighbor come over and we'll chop that up and he can have some firewood.
Yeah. So we wanted to see, since everything else is overgrowing, what this looks like, and if there's more. Back to our property search videos. And see if there is more trees down, but also just show a different area of the property.
All the poison ivy. That's all I see now is just poison ivy. Poison ivy. Poison ivy. That's all I ever see. Poison ivy. Actually, that one wasn't. These aren't. These look like poison ivy, but these are little box elder trees. All right. So, how far are we gonna go?
No, I'm going to the creek.
Yeah.
To the property line creek.
Oh, you're gonna go that way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're taking the real.
I'm doing my real walk, mate.
All right.
Come on. The dogs haven't been back here
No, the dogs have not been back here in a while.
So, what are the plans?
Well, I'm gonna talk about my weekend first.
Okay, you talk about your weekend.
Yep, and then we'll talk about our plans for the day.
Okay.
So while you were off having an adventure in Cityland, I was staying here on the homestead.
Oh man, yeah, this is really grown up.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This will be an adventure. So the last video that I posted was me being overwhelmed, and I'm not quite as overwhelmed right now. Feeling a little bit better. Still overwhelmed, but not like I was feeling on Friday. This is gonna be... Why do I let Katie talk me into these kind of walks? My casual stroll down the well-established path. Katie's like, let's go my way. We won't be able to do this in 2 weeks.
I know, see, it might be my last time.
Yep. Unless you take the lawnmower through here and
Put the sheep back here.
put the sheep back here, yeah. All right, so on Saturday, I was supposed to have a friend come over, but I was just not feeling like being able to host and have company over. Not because I didn't want to see them, but just because having people over at the property is kind of a ordeal at first, trying to wrangle the dogs, and then plus we don't really have like a place to sit and just kind of chillax. I guess we do have the one outside on the porch, but I still wanted to get stuff done. He was actually going to be coming over to help with whatever project I wanted help with, and I just called it off. I feel bad. He understood though, so it was just a weekend of just me and the doggies and the pigs and the sheep and the chickens.
You're never alone.
No, never really quite alone. Sorry, Katie's right in front of me. She's just walking fast and I'm trying to film and talk at the same time and keep up, and So it's just the Nate show again. Katie's back, but she's not actually on screen.
I was waiting for you to talk about your weekend, then I was going to join you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, carry on.
Okay.
So Saturday I spent the day tidying up the chicken coop that I finished, the hoop coop, the one hoop coop. I had always planned on making sure that all areas of the hoop coop were covered in some sort of netting, whether it was the chicken netting or the hardware cloth or fencing or wire, whatever you call it. And that's what I spent the majority of the day on Saturday doing, is putting that netting up. And I was able to actually finish it yesterday before I picked up Katie from the airport. And I think we're going to change directions on the next two hoop coops, cover the majority of it in tarp instead of adding more wire. We have to go up that way.
I missed it. Yeah, I went a little too far.
Well, don't you? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I really went too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it just took so long to get that wire on. So we're going to change up on that. But we got one coop ready. We're going to move the chickens in today. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And yesterday, it was, I moved the sheep. We have a sheep problem. And in fact, we're going to be making a Kraemer Life video about it. Look at these thorns. Oh my goodness, those things are...
That's the...
This is...
what was that tree? It was a...
honey locust.
Yeah, locust.
Look at that thing. That'll kill you. Especially going through the foot. Ouch. Or your tire and your tractor or your truck. So finished the hoop coop on Sunday. Picked up Katie on Sunday yesterday. And moved the sheep into netting because the sheep are just out of control. They really like being free range. I don't blame them, but they also really like being over by us in the carport area. And I don't like that. They poop everywhere. They knock things down. They make a mess. So, and then speaking of mess, the dogs have actually started getting bored in the evening and following suit from the sheep. So this morning we woke up to find that they had dragged some stuff, I don't know where we are, dragged some stuff out from the carport and made a mess out of that too, so.
There's a couple ways to go. It's just so overgrown right now.
Well, you can see a trail that the deer take right here.
It's just, going through it with, around all the vines.
Yeah. It's very different when we walk through this in the
winter?
In the winter.
Yeah, this is, and this doesn't get nearly, there's a couple open canopy areas, but for the most part, this is extremely dense back here. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't grow up too terribly bad, but this is,
yeah, and
for like the last 5 months, this is.
And we're actually at our property line, right? The fence that's right there is our property line.
And this is the opposite property line that y'all see a lot. Mm-hmm. You almost always see the other end, which is, what are we? Northeast.
This is the west. This is the west.
The west.
No, I'm sorry. This is the east.
East side. You guys almost always see the west side, like the carport side. So this is kind of my favorite area, actually right up in here of the property, and I love this. And this is my favorite part of the creek, which we hardly ever show you all.
Yeah. So for reference, well, not reference, but right up there, the top of that hill, there'd be a really nice place to clear and put a house or
potential house,
a cabin or something, and then we would have a straight shot coming down the hill, coming north down to the creek. So it'd be a really nice, pretty view of the mountain range, looking towards the south. The north would be the creek, and then, but we'd be pretty close to our property border and the neighbor next to us.
Yeah, and we don't know what their plans are to build. They just bought it. So, but in reference, it's really close to the pond and the gray barn.
Yeah. So
it's off to the side, but not too far still from where we've established. And so the 80s house isn't too far. Actually, all the buildings aren't too far. Right. Because if you just go straight down from the gray barn, you hit the red barn. So once you kind of start to learn the property, you realize everything's kind of built in a triangle. Yep,
which is good for keeping things close to you. Like I think Salatin was saying when we were at the Farm Where You Live festival, he was saying, if you build everything in clusters, so you're not spending so much time moving back and forth between your different areas.
Well, what he meant by that was like having 4 sheds.
In addition to that, he was saying, and then somebody did a lean systems, what is it, lean manufacturing?
Yeah, it's what I do.
Yeah, so they follow lean
Principles.
that's what it was, principles. And they did a heat map of how
They
traveled their property, and they found that there were clusters where they spent a lot of their times. So they ended up building sheds in those clusters and putting
the
exact same tools in all of those 4 sheds. So that way he wasn't walking back and forth trying to find a tool all the time. And he saved himself tons of money in hourly labor cost.
Yep. So,
yeah.
And that's kind of what we were saying. It's like the amount of time that we waste going back. Oh, careful, there's barbed wire. Going back to the carport, or how just not efficient it is because we don't have building areas like where we can set up the saw and set up things to work. All right, we're almost there.
So we're in so the creek is just over there, about halfway between us and Winston, and we have this really nice flat area, but this area does flood once or twice per year. You can see evidence of it. For example, right here, you have clusters of sticks along the trees because the water comes rushing down this way, and it gets a little bit more than ankle deep. Yeah, actually, it gets shin deep over here. So,
and that is the property line.
Yeah,
so
and then the fence right there is the property line. So we're down to the creek. We're just on the opposite side of the creek that we normally start at.
Yeah, we're where the creek enters our property, and then it exits our property at the river. So
watch for falling.
Yeah. It's like, watch out for everything.
No, that's not new. That's just, it looks different because there's the creek. Yep. Oof, that's a dip.
I dip, you dip, we dip. Okay.
Where's Levi?
He didn't come with us.
Oh, he didn't?
He stayed up. He'll be back down and around. But I like...
Oh, look at this little swimming hole.
Yeah, I like this because I think it's going to be a nice little swimming hole. There's another little tiny small waterfall.
That's where Levi tried to cross and he fell in. He fell in right there and he freaked out because he doesn't like getting all wet. Yeah. But look at this little... Oh, it's hardly flowing right now. Usually it flows over all the rocks, and it's a pretty big.
Hi, buddy.
That's really cute.
But wouldn't it be nice to sit there in 90-degree weather and just have all the water run and hit your back? And then you could go and soak in this area. So I think this area is beautiful. I think most of the property is beautiful, but it's I like this spot because it's a lot deeper. The rest of the creek we show you, it's really shallow, but this one, it comes over my boots if I was to walk in it. So it's something that you could sit down and, actually wade in. Well, not wade in, but almost like a bathtub. Like you could sit and actually have water come up over you. But super peaceful. We see herons down here.
Yeah, I'm trying to capture the blue heron that's down here on camera and put it in one of our videos. Because occasionally we'll walk down here and they'll be at the creek doing something, and the dogs will scare it off and it'll fly away in these huge...
Probably getting little fish.
Probably, and or crawdads or something, who knows. Huge wingspan flying, and then goes up onto a tree, and it's really cool. Yeah,
because I think it roosts just right up over across, or that's where it likes to hang out a lot. But that's a big, gorgeous cedar, but yeah, there's some pretty stuff here. So, plans for today. Did we already talk through all that?
No. Now that one of the hoop coops is done, let's move the 2 chicken batches that are in the Ava 2 and coops. Yeah, let's move those into one hoop coop and join them together. And
then we'll move the 5 farm mix birds out to one of the coops. Yeah, out to one of the Ava 2 and coops. So then we'll have no more chickens inside.
Right. That'll be nice.
Yay!
Yeah. And then I think we're going to work on setting up a better paddock for the sheep.
Yes.
We're probably going to end up putting T-posts along the fence line and make the fence higher, the polywire fence higher. Yeah. Because they're just jumping over it. They're just jumping over it, yeah. Or pushing right through it. Yeah. Like literally, if like the polywire, because it's what is it? It's charging a lot of area, so I don't think
like the pigs don't have that insulation on their nose, so when they touch it, they're fine, but when the pigs kind of jump up or get their feet off the ground, they don't get hit by it.
Right.
So they're not as nervous with it. So it makes a difference, and they go through it a little bit easier. But
yeah, in fact, yesterday, as I was setting up their little paddock with the sheep net, I'm setting up the second paddock for them to move into, and Dorothy couldn't wait 5 more minutes. And instead of jumping over the sheep netting that we have, she poked her head through one of the squares, and then just rammed her way through and broke a giant hole inside the net. And of course, it wasn't electrified at that point in time because I'm moving it, so she didn't have any repercussion to it.
Yep.
So now we have this big old hole in our net. Yeah, we have a sheep problem. So we'll set up the sheep paddock, get them in there. You know,
maybe it's because we called them the Golden Girls. They weren't the most well-behaved girls.
No, and I really did
contribute.
What's the word? I spoiled them. I spoiled them with the wrong feed at first. Here's Winston. Look at this.
Oh, that was.
I made it over.
Yeah.
So move them, and then I think we're going to also expand the pig paddock and give them access to the west side fence, and there's tons of kudzu.
Yeah, we have a kudzu problem over there.
Yeah, so we want to have them start eating down the kudzu and see if we can find the heart of the kudzu and
get it out.
Get it out, yep.
Yeah. So that they'll have, and that's probably 1/4 acre of kudzu.
Oh yeah.
At least. So.
Of ground cover.
Of ground cover, but when it expands, I mean, it's...
Up to the trees, we're probably like 95 acres of kudzu by the time it expands over the trees.
Okay. Yeah, so I think... He's so cute. He loves the creek.
All right, so I think that's it for what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back to work tomorrow.
Yep, I took today off as a flex day since I work 980s, so I work 80 hours.
80 hours.
That's what it is. So basically I work 9-hour days every 2 weeks, and so I get every other Friday off. This last Friday was supposed to be my Friday off, but since I was traveling and working and doing events, I moved it to Monday. So today's Monday, so taking the day off. Because I knew I'd be exhausted, and also I knew that you'd need some help, and we had some things to finish up. Yeah,
we thought you were going to come in flight earlier yesterday and have some time yesterday to work on what we're going to do today.
But it was a late flight.
Yeah, your flight didn't get in until like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well.
Yep, oh well. With the pigs, and so we bought new feed.
Yes.
We tried some new feed that we found at a local Amish store, and it was mash. And so I've been putting that mash in water and having it be in the water at least 24 hours. I would like it to be longer, but I don't have enough buckets to have multiple days worth of mash sitting there. Feeding it to the pigs. They like it. I think they like it more than the regular stuff, just because it's a little bit wetter and easier to eat. But it's a real pain, like having to maintain that. It's just another step in the chore process. And then with the chickens, with the meat chickens and the younger chickens, they're on the grower mash. And same thing, it's like the chickens like it, but the feeding system we have for the two, it doesn't work. It doesn't really flow down through the little cracks of the feeding system. So I have to like place it around the edge of the feeder. But for the meat birds, I took one of your recommendations of getting a gutter, and I just fill up the feed fill up the gutter with the feed, and set it on the ground. I need to make some legs so it doesn't keep tipping over. Yeah. So that mash stuff works fine in there, and the chickens.
Do we have another gutter? We can just do it with the other ones.
We probably already cut that one gutter in half. Yeah. Because it's a pretty long gutter. Yeah. But I just wanted to do something quickly because the system we were using wasn't working. Yeah. And then I also fixed the wheels on the Kraemer meatmobile. So fix is not the right word, I replaced. So I went to Harbor Freight, bought 2 $7 plastic wheels. They don't need to be inflated. and replace the wheels, and now I can move that. I move it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So that's working pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. We're making our way through things.
Yep.
I think it'll be better once the chicken coops are done. That's one project done. We can then focus on getting the landscaping done.
Yes, that pile of rock.
And getting the French drain filled in, because it's starting to get junk inside of the trench.
Which we don't want.
No, we definitely don't want. Once we get that done, that'll feel a lot better. And then I'm going to clean, and that'll be way better. Clean and organize. So the sheep will be put away, the pigs will have more space, the chickens will be in one area. The place will be clean, it'll look nice in the front. It'll be fantastic.
And then I'll start building the raised garden beds.
Yes, yep, and then we can plant.
Yes.
Oh man, okay. One thing at a time. We got this.
I know. It's the bad project manager of me that I like to list out everything that has to happen and then kind of put it to a timeline and like which it's a good thing, but it's
the timeline's
also
fine. It's just when we start talking
hearing about it all at once, it gets a little bit like, oh my gosh, when am I going to find time to do that? So
it's like I have 4 things in my head that I want to accomplish, and then I'm talking to Katie through it, and she's like, okay, and then this, and then this, and then this, and I'm like, which is fine. Like, it needs to be talked about, but yeah, it gets me.
It gets him every time. Yeah. And he's like, I just want to talk about one thing. That's it. One thing, nothing else.
Never happens.
My mind doesn't work that way. It doesn't. I can't help it.
Yeah.
But, yep.
So, all right. Well, I think that's good. Yeah. I think that's what we're going to work on. Let's head back, start working.
Yep. We'll go and we'll head back the way that we normally do. But it's just beautiful. Like, I just absolutely love this area and how, I don't know, it's just so pretty. Yeah,
I think I'm just going to walk the creek and just give them a minute or two of
the different creek area.
Of quiet, and then we'll end it there.
All right.
All right.